Look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world.
This is the Wrestling Matters podcast where we stand up for professional wrestling.
Here we fucking go!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another installment of the Wrestling Matters podcast. How are we all doing? Hope you guys are well, and one of it is you are doing as well. Thanks for everything, guys. Thanks for the support on last week's episode as well, for getting Michael Cole and that. And like I said, Michael Cole fans will disagree with it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. People just want to be people, basically, you know, at the end of the day. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Hope you guys are well. Today's show, sorry, I got a little brain fart there. Today's show, I am going to talk Money in the Bank. I was going to do it this week, but I've just been having issues and, you know, not feeling myself this week. But I was going to do it this week on the channel. But I'll do it in this show. Raw, Smackdown, ICW, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, and a few other things here and there. Plus, I promised you last week, guys, I'll save it for the main event of the podcast. I'll save it for the last, you know, save the best to the last and that. I will review Kenny Omega and Okada 2, New Japan Pro Wrestling, my very first New Japan Pro Wrestling review on this podcast, and hopefully it won't be the last. So look out for that as well. Plus a top 10 behind the scenes of WCPW as well. So the little things that you don't know. I'll do that second from last. That'll be the preliminary occasion as well. So lots to look forward to here on the podcast. Hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. Check this out on the Wrestling Matters channel, NJPW Wrestling Matters. Download it on SoundCloud as well. I'm sorting a few things out on SoundCloud as well, so bear with me. And also look up Radio Big World as well, because it should be on there as well. Also, big shout out to Talk Brunch, and a personal thank you to Rick Dara as well. It is much appreciated. You know what for. Check out Talk Brunch each and every week on Mondays after Raw. Yes, I know the post sites have to go on up after Raw. Be sure to look out for that as well. At Talk Brunch on Twitter. Rick Dara as well. At Rick Dara on Twitter. If you want to talk to the man himself. If not, more information at Talk Brunch on Twitter. Facebook.com/Talk Brunch as well. Shout out to Mystery Island and Wrestle Island as well for more information on there. Facebook.com/Wrestle Island. Facebook.com/Back to the Island as well. So, yeah, lots to look forward to on the podcast as well. Also, check out TSC Magazine, Wrestling Magazine, and subscribe to them at TSC Wrestling Mag on Twitter as well. Check them out each and every time, guys, each and every month. Don't be afraid. Get your monthly subscription on the fastest growing wrestling mag on the internet. So be sure to check them out as well and show your support. Now, we've got the promotions out the way and all that. Let's do Money in the Bank first, shall we? Now, I had a conversation with somebody about this, and there's low ratings. There's concern for low ratings and whatnot about WWE at the moment when it comes to Raw and Smackdown and everything. Seriously, Smackdown could have 1.9 ratings, you know, 1.9 viewers in the ratings and everything like that. And I swear to God right now, I swear to God, God is my witness, I swear to God, right? I swear to God, Smackdown would still be the better brand. No question about it. No question about that. Smackdown would be the better brand. We could have all the stuff in the world. Smackdown would still be the better brand. There's no question about that. Right. I didn't see the kickoff match, but the Hype Bros beat the Colognes. I think people are expecting a heel turn from Zack Ryder, considering the direction Mojo Rawley's going and everything. You know, winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Apparently, he's getting a push and whatnot. You know, it seems that people are expecting a heel turn sometime soon. I hope not. But, you know, if it has to be, it has to be. You know, it'd be the perfect time for a heel turn, to be honest with you, because Zack Ryder, he's been out on the shelf and everything, and his boy's been getting all these good things and shit like that and everything. So it'd be a good time for a heel turn, I suppose. But we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But like I say, Hype Bros beat the Colognes. Carmella stole the Money in the Bank women's ladder match. Now, don't get me wrong, okay, when I say this. The Money in the Bank match was great. There's no question about that. It was awesome. There's no question. It was good for what it was. 5 women trying to compete and do the best they can in their first ladder match. It wasn't the greatest ladder match you've ever seen, but the women did all right. There's no question about that. But then it got spoilt by a certain goof named James Ellsworth. I do not like this guy. He comes in, gets rid of Becky Lynch, gets Becky Lynch off the ladder and everything, climbs up the ladder, grabs the briefcase, and hands it to Carmella. Now, that's a great way to get heat, don't get me wrong, but it was bullshit. There's no question about that. It was bullshit. A horrible way to end a historic women's Money in the Bank ladder match. A horrible way. And she even came out during the women's match later on, which Naomi beat Lana, teasing a cash-in and everything. Hopefully, well, like I said, you'll find out later what happened on Smackdown when I review it. So, did Daniel Bryan live up to his expectations? Did Daniel Bryan take it, settle the score with this Money in the Bank controversy? We'll just see. You'll find out later on. The New Day defeated Smackdown Tag Team Champions Usos via count-out, which was a fuck-up finish, quite frankly. Awesome match. These two teams could work. These two teams proved in this match that they could work. They can go. And they had an epic match, spoiled by the Usos walking away. Quite frankly, like Taz said on his show this week, it was a fuck-up finish. F-up finish, or something round about that, but it was a fuck-up finish. So that feud is not over by a long shot. Maybe there'll be a rematch at Battleground coming up as well, so I would say Backlash then. But yeah, we have to wait and see how that pans out. And like I say, if it's anything like that, then we're in for a treat. Breezango beat the Ascension. Nothing really big in that match. Just Breezango winning, and like I say, God bless them for getting TV time. That's all I'm saying. Lana put out a good showing in the women's title match. Everybody thinks it was going to be a cakewalk for Naomi and everything. Everybody thought, it's going to be a cakewalk. She's going to beat this and there. But she put out a good show. She did very well. But thankfully, Naomi retained. I see Lana being a champion down the road. Obviously, not straight away, not now. Maybe a year or two. I don't know. Depends how the WWE sees on this. But other than that, it was great. It was great stuff as well. And like I said, kudos to Miss Lana for a good showing. The WWE Champion, Jinder Mahal, defeated Randy Orton, thanks to the goofballs on the outside. And basically, Randy Orton attacked the Singh brothers again because they jumped on Cowboy Bob Orton. And Orton did exactly what he did at Backlash to one of the Singh brothers, except it might have been an accident at Backlash. At Money in the Bank, not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance in hell it was an accident. Fuck that. It didn't look as brutal as it was on at the Backlash pay-per-view. I'll be honest with you. Because the Backlash pay-per-view, go back and watch it, he almost broke his neck. I don't think he did it on this occasion. It didn't look that way. He hit hard on the announce table, there's no question about that, but it didn't look as good. Backwise at least. So, yeah, it is. Randy Orton still misses out, but there's rumours flying around, ladies and gentlemen, and there's going to be a rematch between the two. I don't know how this is going to work out since John Cena is supposed to be coming back. More on that in a second. But apparently there's a rumoured Punjabi prison match for Battleground between the two. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. And the difference is, like I said to somebody this week, the difference is if the Punjabi prison match is going ahead, thankfully there'll be somebody in there who can wrestle. Because Jinder Mahal is a wrestler. He can wrestle. And let's face it, he's no great Khali, is he? So we'll give him that respect at least. A surprise return at Money in the Bank, rather. Why do I keep saying Backlash for? But anyway, Maria Kanellis returned. Remember Maria? Yeah. And she was there with her husband, Mike Bennett. Or as he's now known, Mike Kanellis. Yes, you heard me correct. Mike Kanellis. Are you serious? That's the best you could come up with? WWE. Oh, what they're going to do this time? Oh, we can't call you Mike Bennett, so let's give you Mike Kanellis. I say call him Maria Bennett. Obviously she went around calling herself Maria Kanellis, and Mike was called Mike Bennett when they were in Ring of Honor and TNA together. But that's like taking, that's like basically, in that respects, that's like basically saying to Maria, you should be called Maria Bennett, and he should be called Mike Bennett as well. And basically, WWE have done the idea, which is basically Maria Kanellis, now they've called their husband Mike Kanellis. Because technically they are married, they're a real-life couple. They've come back with this love gimmick, which looks like there's something out of Blind Date or cross between them kiss cams they used to do. Maybe they're going to come out every week and every segment. Oh, let's do with the Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett kiss cam, which will blow donkey balls, trust me. But anyway, they're here, and it'd be interesting to see what direction Mike goes. Because Mike's a good wrestler, there's no question about that. No question about that. But we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. So I'm looking forward to see what goes on. And the best match of the night, guys. The Money in the Bank ladder match. Baron Corbin, Nakamura, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Dolph Ziggler was won by Baron Corbin as well. And the right call. and I'm predicting it right now here on the podcast. There's also been talks about this as well. Baron Corbin, future WWE champion, and he will be the top man on SmackDown before the year ends. If not, maybe going into next year. I don't know. It's like I said to somebody this week, it's a case of how the thing goes in India with WWE and the Jinder Mahal thing. How long the title reign will be. Because there's rumours about a long title reign, but the long title reign will all depend on how things go with Jinder Mahal in respects of how it goes in India. Is the India thing working? Because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. Jinder Mahal is WWE champion just to get over in India. You know, just to break into that Indian market. So depending on how that goes, we'll have to wait and see what happens next, if you will. Apologies for that, I'm just putting my laptop on there in the background. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how it goes out. But Baron Corbin, guys, will be the next WWE champion this year. And he'll be the top man on SmackDown. Because it's rumoured and talked about it being built that way. What will happen is what will happen. Right, guys, that is the end of Money in the Bank. Far better than Extreme Rules. I'll say that. Far better than Extreme Rules. And it was, apart from a few things here and there, it was very enjoyable. And I really did. It was, you know, wasn't the best pay-per-view, but then again, it wasn't the worst. But it was enjoyable. I liked it to a point as well. I just hope they give Raw a better opportunity, because I still don't get why they've got, you know, Money in the Bank is a SmackDown brand. You know, what's there for Raw, you know, in terms of Money in the Bank as well. You know, why not make this show co-production, you know, gives the equal opportunity to everything. But I couldn't understand why they did what they did and everything, and all in all, it was a good show. John Cena is a free agent, apparently, and I watched Solo Monster's little clip on YouTube this week, and they said, and I quote, well, he said, and I quote, and it's true, the reason why John Cena, ladies and gentlemen, is a free agent, or has come back as a free agent, so we may see him on Raw, we may see him on SmackDown, we may see him on both shows, to be honest with you, is because of the low ratings. And it's like I've said many times in the past, if they can't find their way, who do they go to? They go to their draw boy. That's right, they go to John Cena. They've done it before in the past with the WWE Championship. They're doing it again this time with the ratings. It's a way to boost ratings up. Because whether we've liked the shows or not, Raw and SmackDown, the ratings have sucked. You know, Raw's had a 2.5 rating and SmackDown's had low ratings as well. So it's all based on ratings. That's all it is. That's why John Cena's a free agent. What will happen? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, maybe the rumour's been dropped that he's the next guy to fight Jinder Mahal. I'm guessing it'll have to be now. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see, and we'll find out what happens July the 4th. That about wraps this up for part 1 of the episode. Guys, I'll be back in part 2 with Raw, SmackDown, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, ICW, New Japan, Pro Wrestling as well, plus a top 10 from What Culture and behind the scenes of WCPW. Things that you didn't know, you know, the secrets of WCPW as well. So stay tuned, a lot more to come here on the podcast. Are you sick of people telling you what to do or telling you what wrestling to watch? Do you like wrestling as passionate as I do? Are you a passionate wrestling fan? Well, tune in to the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday on SoundCloud, YouTube.com, and Radio Big World for the best in professional wrestling. I talk Raw, I talk SmackDown, I talk ICW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and anything else that is worth watching and worth talking about in the world of professional wrestling, including WCPW as well. So, for the best in professional wrestling, tune in to AJW Wrestling Matters on YouTube, Wrestling_Matters_podcast on SoundCloud, and Radio Big World. Look them up on SoundCloud too for the best in professional wrestling. You know why? Because wrestling matters. Welcome back to part 2 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, guys. I've got the WCPW backstage secrets, or 10 of them anyway, coming very soon. So be sure to check that out as well. And stay tuned for that rather. That's coming up probably in part 3. And then in part 4 we'll do Raw and SmackDown. Part 5 we'll do Impact and Ring of Honor. Yeah, put them both in there. 6 we'll do ICW, and then 7 we'll do, part 1 was Money in the Bank, part 2, King of the Ring, part 3, WCPW, part 4, Raw and SmackDown, part 5, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, part 6, yeah, so all that's to come. Yeah, I was right the first time, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the format there a little bit then in terms of parts, so yeah, be sure to check that out as well. And still to come, New Japan Pro Wrestling review, and like I say, I'll save that for last. But I want to throw this King of the Ring in there. I mentioned King of the Ring there during that because this is a King of the Ring top 10. Like what Culture Wrestling did with the fascinating facts of WrestleMania, and I'll probably do some more of them down the road. They've started doing King of the Ring as well. And I wanted to bring out one in particular. There's another one as well. They've done 93, 94, 1996, I want to bring you 10 fascinating facts about King of the Ring 1995, because in my opinion, it sucked. It wasn't as bad, but it was the worst one out of the lot. This is when King of the Ring was on pay-per-view, back in the day. This is when King of the Ring was on pay-per-view. This was the bad one out of the lot, in my opinion. And number 10, Pedro Morales no-showed the Hall of Fame ceremony. Now, apparently they had the Hall of Fame ceremony the previous night before King of the Ring, and they inducted, like they do now still, they inducted people into the Hall of Fame, all these legends and all these people that have paved the way for people we see today, maybe. Well, one of the wrestlers who was supposed to be in no-showed. His name was Pedro Morales. I think Savio Vega was inducting him in, from what I'm saying here. But it was just one problem. The real reason why Pedro Morales couldn't come to the Hall of Fame ceremony, because he was the Spanish announcer for WCW, and on risk of losing his job, he did not want to risk his job by going to the competition just to pick up a Hall of Fame ring or Hall of Fame accolade, because if he did that, he may have got fired from his job, and he didn't want to lose his job. So that is the reason Pedro Morales did not show up for his Hall of Fame. Razor Ramon was cut from the tournament with an injury. That's number 9. This is the tournament that had Yokozuna, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, and Razor Ramon was meant to be in it, but due to injuries, he had to be replaced, and they had a qualifying match, which I believe was on the pre-show or the kickoff show, whatever they had before the pay-per-view, which saw Savio Vega 1-on-1 with IRS, and Savio Vega won that. Number 8, ECW banners were confiscated before the show. Now, I'll tell you the reason why. Because this was the show. ECW is was a Philadelphia-based promotion. And ECW, and King of the Ring 95 was an ECW. And obviously, you're going to get some ECW fans sneak into the show with their banners and everything and just rip them apart, basically. This is what led to the proverbial angle, which I believe was at Mind Games, when ECW wrestlers, including Paul Heyman, were sat in the crowd. I'll get to more about this later on, but it set up what was to come in the future between WWE and ECW. So I'll get to it a little bit more later on. There were some special appearances, which was the next one, from some future stars, quite frankly. 1995 King of the Ring had some special appearances from future stars. Now, King of the Ring, back in the day, they used to have people stand by the door or the entrances and have them pull the doors open to let the wrestlers come out. If you watch this video, which is on the What Culture Wrestling YouTube channel, or you watch the pay-per-view back in general, check out the WWE Network, this pay-per-view had 2 guys either side holding the door of the entrance to allow the wrestlers to come out for their matches, their respective matches, whether it was a tournament match or a singles match or a title match or whatever they had on the show. On this occasion, 1995 King of the Ring, the 2 guys that were doing that specific job of opening the doors for the entrances were none other than the Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt Hardy. Yes, you heard me correct. I did not stutter. Jeff, a very young Jeff Hardy, blonde hair, and Matthew Hardy as well. Dark hair, short dark hair, not the long hair he has today, but very short, very young, while opening the door, because if you watch the video back, it sees them opening the door for Shawn Michaels in his entrance when his match with Karma, which was a clusterfuck, but it is what it is. But yeah, very young Matthew Hardy and very young Jeff Hardy doing that job at the pay-per-view. The next night, both of them had to job out to their respective people, and I think Matt ended up jobbing out to Triple H as well. It was pay-per-view. It was Taker's first television or televised pinfall in 3 years, because the last time he lost, to this point at least, and this is incredible, the last time he lost by pinfall up until this point was 3 years ago, Tuesday in Texas, at the 1991 Survivor, 2 days after the 1991 Survivor Series. They had the Hogan, when he won his first WWF Championship from Hulk Hogan. 2 days later, he had to drop the belt back to Hogan. And from that point on, after that match, from that point on, he did not, and I repeat, did not lose a match up until the 1995 King of the Ring, where he had to job out to Mabel. Because as we all know, Mabel eventually won it. Next one is Vince McMahon misheard an ECW chant. Now, in a tournament that had Yokozuna, that had Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, the final of the tournament had Mabel versus Savio Vega. And you can tell the crowd royally fucked on this, because they started chanting during this match directly at Vince McMahon, ECW. ECW. If you want a better story of this, go and check out The Rise and Fall of ECW, because Paul Heyman tells it as well. And this was the whole deal, and this was partly the main point of what happened when Mind Games, with the whole ECW crew and the crowd and everything. I mean, you've got a guy, Mabel, who's had many names in this business, you know, Viscera, Big Daddy V and whatnot. And then you've got Savio Vega, who before playing Savio Vega came out as Quang, guy with a mask. Anyway, Mabel won the tournament. It is what it is. Next, Shawn Michaels spoils that he's not winning. During the entrance of Shawn Michaels for his match with Khan, Shawn Michaels being Shawn Michaels, back then anyway, he came out and went to the King of the Ring seat where the crown was and tried it on. He tried the crown on, thinking that is there a chance of me winning? But the crown was too big for him, because the crown they made was for Mabel. And obviously, you know, he gave the game away that he wasn't winning King of the Ring, unfortunately. Yeah, good old Shawn Michaels, ladies and gentlemen. Classic. What was it? Jerry Lawler's puke is the next one. After his match, Lawler's match with the Kiss My Foot with Bret Hart, the original Kiss My Foot match, he puked backstage. Yes, he lost the match, took the foot from Bret and went backstage and puked. What was in the puke? Soda and biscuits, or crackers, yeah, just so they can get the puke going and everything to make it up for what happened and everything. It was so bad, yet so stupid. It was the only King of the Ring pay-per-view without a title match. Not one championship match was on this card. Not one. Previous matches, previous King of the Rings, they had title matches on. I mean, the WWE champion was in a tag match. The Intercontinental champion, Jeff Jarrett at the time, was managing the roadie, because the roadie was in the tournament. How the hell that worked. And the tag team champions, I don't think were on the list either. Neither was the women's champion either. So, ain't that a toot. And for the last time, it was the least. And for a time, it was the least bought pay-per-view. Up until, if I remember correctly, 2006. This was the least bought pay-per-view in wrestling history, in WWE's history, or WWF's history, because it drew 150,000 pay-per-view buys. But thankfully, it doesn't have that honor anymore, because the least pay-per-view, or the worst pay-per-view in wrestling history, in WWE's history, or WWE's ever produced, was December to Dismember in 2006, that huge clusterfuck, which drew 90,000 pay-per-view buys, because the only thing that was fucking promoted on that pay-per-view was the Elimination Chamber. Everything else was just thrown in at the last minute. They'd be best off doing what TNA's doing with some of their big shows and making it a network special. And we all, if you watch the CM Punk DVD, you all know what happened, because that was the night that caused Paul Heyman to blow a gasket, really, and quit. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the King of the Ring 1995 Fascinating Facts. Hope you enjoyed that. I surely did. If you want to enjoy more great content from What Culture, go to the What Culture Wrestling YouTube channel. It's just phenomenal stuff. It really is. I mean, I enjoy talking about these guys on this podcast, and I don't give a damn what anyone thinks, man. These guys bring out great content, great shows as well. I'm still in the process of watching Built to Destroy, because I've had a lot of things to do, but I want to watch Built to Destroy just for that Jay Lethal, Davey Richards match as well. But for, like I say, for more of them, guys, check out the What Culture YouTube channel and check out the WCPW YouTube channel. Support these guys, because despite what people say or what people think or what opinions you may have about them, my opinion is they're fucking awesome. Right, guys, that about wraps it up for part 2. I'll be back in part 3 with more of WCPW, the 10 fascinating facts or behind the scenes secrets of What Culture Pro Wrestling, leading into their 1-year anniversary with Built to Destroy. They decided to put this up on the YouTube channel, and it's very fascinating. It really is. Stay tuned. I'll be back with that right after this.
If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Right, part 3 of the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Get it out the way. Top 10 secrets of WCPW. Behind the scenes secrets. What beautiful secrets they have to, you know. But yeah, behind the scenes secrets of WCPW. So let's check them out. Number 10, why was the belt the first championship belt that was created for WCPW? Why was it so small? Well, the reason why it was so small, because when they first had it made, according to the video, they thought it was going to be for them. You know, the whole, oh yeah, they're YouTubers and they've had belts before, and they've had matches before, and, you know, they've done their YouTube stuff with the belt and everything. They thought it was going to be for them. They didn't know it was going to be for an actual promotion. And if you look back on the very first show of WCPW, or you go and find it, which I'm sure it's on the YouTube channels, you would see the belt held by Big Damo when he won the championship. Looks like him going to a WWE toy shop and buying a replica belt, a toy belt, because it was that small on him. And then they eventually got a big belt for Damo, but Damo ended up losing the championship, and it ended up being in the hands of Joseph Connors. And when you see Joseph Connors come out with it, it looked like the belt was zillion times sizes too big. Number 9 was the state of the very first WCPW venue, which was held in Newcastle. Basically, it sucked. There was a huge puddle there, there was glass there. They spent most of the day on that show, or before the show, cleaning up the crap from last night. Because I believe there was a party there. A party, glasses, and stuff like that was there. It was just, perfect way to prepare for your new show, to prepare for probably the most important show that you'll ever do, the very first show, because the first show, and the very first show of your promotion is very important, because that'll tell you when it will work or not, or whether this could be something. They spent most of the day, though, before the show, cleaning up the mess. That was delightful. And there was a huge puddle there, and I think Plumpy said that they were trying to cover it up and cover it up with certain fabrics and that, just trying to get it, get the thing out the way and everything, so it's all good. But couldn't have been fun. This is my favourite. Number 8. They needed a referee shirt. Right, it's the God's honest truth. They needed a referee shirt, and back in the day they had, WWE and WCW, they had the blue shirts, and stuff like that. They wanted referee shirts that had stripes on them. So what did these guys go and do? They went out and got a shit ton of Newcastle shirts. That's right, Newcastle United shirts. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, how can that happen? You've got sponsors on them. They had to go and dig out older versions of the Newcastle United shirts. Ones without the sponsors and whatnot. Just so they could use them as referees. How phenomenal is that? I take one promotion up here. It's like a promotion up in my hometown, in Middlesbrough. Going out and buying Middlesbrough shirts just so they can use them as a referee. It's fucking hilarious, though. It's hilarious, though. But I don't think that would work, though, because please don't wear red shirts, as you know. WCPW's very first match is number 7, and it was Martin Kirby and El Aguero, and I remember this. It had comedy, it had stuff in it, and I don't think it came across as what they had in mind in terms of match quality. I think that's what they're saying here. You can go back and watch the video. I don't think it came across, because everybody was expecting a great match and everything, and it was a good match, but there was a lot of entertainment in there, clumsiness, Kirby going up on the top and everything and falling off. There was a lot of that stuff in there. I don't think they really wanted that, if I'm being honest with you. Number 6, the suit that Adam Blompier wore was a last minute thing. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what the heck am I talking about? Go back and watch one of the shows. It was the night where he got powerbombed through the table. Actually, it was the night he fought Rampage Brown in a street fight. And that was aired on WCPW. It's probably on their YouTube page as well, the clip. He fought Rampage Brown, which is the biggest mistake he ever made. Why would you want to piss that motherfucker off? He fought him, and then it got to the point where he wore a suit, and I think Rampage spent most of the time, if I remember the match correctly, just ripping it off and everything, and I don't think it was meant to come off. And then you just see Adam just get powerbombed through the table and everything, and the whole thing just went to shit, basically. And it ended up being to the point where Adam ended up walking out with his tidy-whities on. Just his tidy-whities, because the suit came off, and not in the way he'd hoped for. Number 5, giving glow sticks out. Now, this was a reason, whether it was good or bad or not. It was the night where Adam Pacitti turned heel on Martin Kirby. He turned heel, and Kirby built himself up with the WCPW audience to the point where he got over with them. They're all following the movement, the Kirby Mania, or Curb Crawlers as he called them. Everybody was on the bandwagon of Martin Kirby. And then Adam Pacitti turned heel on him and cost him the World Championship. Much to the dismay of the crowd, who started throwing freaking glow sticks at him and shit like that. And you could just see this picture when Adam turns heel. You could just see this picture where glow sticks are flying from either side, and it gets to the point where they started throwing them, and the sticks were whacking him, and I think one caught him on the chin, and he was like, I'm kind of thing, and walked away. But he did put out a hell of a visual for Adam Pacitti, man. It was good stuff, no question about it. And it made Mr. Pacitti very, very hated. 4, Pacitti again, he went through the wrong table. Now, it was the night where him and his feud, he was meant to, he set a match up to get with Martin Kirby. Martin Kirby, I believe, went one-on-one with Bully Ray, if I remember correctly. And if Martin loses, Pacitti gets his job back as GM. Well, it didn't happen that way. And Pacitti turned on, I think there was a miscue between Pacitti and Bully Ray, and it ended up to the point where Bully Ray turned on him and basically put him through the table. But the table he went through was the wrong one. It wasn't meant to be that one. And I think that's why he ended up getting their injuries, because they already planned a table beforehand, but it didn't work. Because, like I say, he ended up getting injury. Whether it was kayfabe or not, it didn't look good the way he went through it. It did look nasty, there's no question about that. But that's what you get when you piss off Bully Ray. Number 3, the Gabriel Kidd losing streak was not planned. This poor bastard couldn't even win a match. He couldn't win a match to save his life. And I think the very first match he won, or he ended up winning, was beating or pinning Cody Rhodes to win the Internet Championship. Now, what you've got to understand is, guys, that was his first one. But the streak, the losing streak, was kind of reminiscent of Mikey Whipwreck. I mean, when Mikey Whipwreck first came into the ECW, he only had one wrestling move. He couldn't wrestle to save his life. He was an underdog, just like Gabriel Kidd was. And then 1 minute he's winning the tag team belts with Cactus Jack. Well, Mr. Kidd here did the impossible, and I mean the impossible, by pitting Cody Rhodes to become the new Internet Champion, and he's the reigning Internet Champion right now, I would imagine. I haven't seen Built to Destroy yet, but I'm guessing he is still the Internet Champion. So, yeah, I mean, it's the perfect story for WCPW's prize. He won the belt at no regrets, and it was perfect because it was in Newcastle, and the Newcastle crowd loved the guy. And I think, not just that, I think fans of WCPW love the guy as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's good for him, no question about it, because up until that point, he couldn't win a match to save his life. And it's basically from losing streak to winning. That's the story behind it. Number 2, Primate busted himself open during the celebration of Martin Kirby when he finally won the championship. The world title, that is, the WCPW championship. I think it was the Royal Rumble. Martin Kirby wins the WCPW title, finally. And there was a celebration, all the guys came out and everything. And Primate comes out, goes in the ring, lifts the guy up on his shoulders, and I think you could see the knackers of of Martin Kirby. I think Primate's head hurts them. And as he was trying to get himself back into shape and everything, you know, get him into a better position, because apparently his knackers were hurting, Martin Kirby brings the belt down, and the top bit of the belt, the sharp end, caught Primate right in the head and bust him open. And you could see it on the video. Everybody was laughing at him, but he was backstage, he was busted up. And apparently that's not the first time he's ever done that, because he has a habit of busting himself open at the wrong time. So, you know, it is what it is, man. Accidents do happen. Shit happens, if you will. But Primate is a nut, there's no question about that. Post-show stunners is number 1. Now, the post-show stunners is everybody wishing they were Stone Cold Steve Austin and coming out when the show was over and stunning the bad guys. And it's a way to send people home. All the baby faces come out and stun the bad guys to the best of their ability, and they try and, you know, replica Stone Cold Steve Austin. And some of them can do it. Even the cameraman got involved on one of them as well. And some of them do it good, some of them do it bad, some of them are well executed and all that. I mean, they're not the worst stunners you'll ever see. But that's a way, post-show stunners is a way to send the people home happy, kind of thing. So say the heel ends the show, you know, on top and everything like that. That's going to basically send a fan, you know, a babyface fan, I guess you could say, home pissed, because damn, the heel's going to go in there. Well, the post-show stunners is a way to send that person home happy, because he saw the heel, even though it wasn't on television or YouTube or whatever the fuck they're using, it saw them getting over and sends the people home happy. So at the end of the day, everybody wins, kind of deal as well. So it's fun at the end of the day. And that's it for the 10 secrets, behind the scenes secrets you didn't know from WCPW. So we've had Money in the Bank, the fascinating facts about the worst King of the Ring ever, and the behind the scenes secrets. And later on, guys, you're still going to get the NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling review as well. Pondering whether or not to do that before or save that for last, but it's coming up in the show, guys. It's definitely coming up in the show. I know I said it'll be the main event, but I'm kind of keen to do it. We'll have to wait and see anyway. But at the end of the day, guys, that's wrap for this part. I'll be back in the next part with Raw, SmackDown, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, ICW, and if there's anything else, if there's any like other news in there, I'll throw in as well. Also, New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. So, thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned. I'll be back after this. Are you sick of people telling you what to do or telling you what wrestling to watch? Do you like wrestling as passionate as I do? Are you a passionate wrestling fan? Well, tune in to the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday on SoundCloud, YouTube.com, and Radio Big World for the best in professional wrestling. I talk Raw, I talk SmackDown, I talk ICW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and anything else that is worth watching and worth talking about in the world of professional wrestling, including WCPW as well. So, for the best in professional wrestling, tune in to AJW Wrestling Matters on YouTube, Wrestling_Matters_podcast on SoundCloud, and Radio Big World. Look them up on SoundCloud too for the best in professional wrestling. You know why? Because wrestling matters. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. This is part 4. Now it's time. Let's get right into it. WWE, Raw, and SmackDown. Let's do it. So just let me get these up here. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. We've still got ICW, Ring of Honor to come as well. Also, we have also got New Japan. I don't know how I'm going to pronounce or present that to you, my review of that, because it's really hard, or it has been hard to keep up with New Japan Pro Wrestling, watching it this week and everything. It is fast-paced stuff, man, no question about it. And plus there was a 60-minute draw on that, but more on that later on. That is the main event of this podcast, there's no question about that. Right, hope you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. I try to bring you my opinions and views on the best in professional wrestling. Now we're going to go to Monday Night Raw. Let's do Monday Night Raw first. Get this out of the way. I seen a bit of it. As a matter of fact, I didn't see a bit of it, I seen all of it. It was okay. It wasn't the worst Raw. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest Raw, but it wasn't bad, I thought. There was a few bits here and there that I couldn't give two flying fucks about, quite frankly. But, yeah. Roman Reigns came out and announced he was going to be facing Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, or Samoa Joe at SummerSlam. He's like, I'm the #1 contender. Samoa Joe comes out, just gets in his face and headbutts him, and they brawl, which obviously led to their match later on in the evening. More on that in a second. Hardy Boys defeat Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, probably trying to get back into the title picture. Finn Balor defeats Bo Dallas. More on Bo Dallas later on. Bray Wyatt confronted Seth Rollins. Apparently there's beef between them two now, and a possible match brewing for Great Balls of Fire, if not SummerSlam. I'd like to see it SummerSlam, if I'm being honest with you, but that's just me. Tozawa defeats TJP, and Titus O'Neil is still so far up his rear end, it's not even funny. And Titus run his mouth off saying that Tozawa was going to be the next champion, the next Cruiserweight champion. Obviously, Mr. Neville didn't take too kindly to that. Samoa Joe defeats Roman Reigns. Elias Sampson was out also during the show, playing the guitar again and everything. And apparently, in a way, got outstaged by Finn Balor, because apparently Finn's had enough of it. So I'm guessing there's something going on between Elias Sampson and Finn Balor down the road. Backstage, when Balor was having an interview, Sampson attacked him from behind. Yeah, he attacked him from behind and beat him up and said, don't you ever outshun me again. There seems to be something down the road. I'm guessing that's Sampson's next opponent is Finn Balor. I'm guessing they'll put that on pay-per-view. Probably Great Balls of Fire. I can't see that being for SummerSlam. Can't see that happening. Maurice appeared on Miz TV, and yes, of course, Dean Ambrose interrupts it. Apparently, once again, Miz breaks the clock that Maurice got him as a present. After mending it, he breaks it again, and Dean Ambrose comes out and ruins everything. Maurice runs off crying again like she's done before, and the two bears were in the ring, and they, for some reason, when Miz was trying to get to his woman, they, for some reason, attacked him. It turns out it was Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Apparently, there's a heel group forming with Miz, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. Now, all of this to come when Miz basically pulled their punk card earlier on in the evening, finding out what the hell's going on between them two. So obviously they jumped on the Miz's bandwagon and believed in the Miz and believed in what he could do. So Miz's entourage, I guess you could call the group. There'll probably be a better name than that, but that's where it's going at this moment in time. So interesting to see what happens. No doubt there'll probably be the guys that'll end up covering the Miz to be tag team. To be the Intercontinental Champion for as long as he can be, or maybe Universal Champion down the road, depending on what things go down. Nia Jax defeats I apologise for that. Nia Jax defeats Sasha Banks via disqualification. Yawn. Raw Tag Team Champions Cesaro and Sheamus beat Titus Brand. Yes. Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil as well. Obviously, they're the tag team champions, for crying out loud. I'm begging Apollo Crews to break away from the Titus brand. He doesn't need them. And as much as this seems to be getting over with people, I don't get it. I really don't. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't get it. I really, truly do not get it one bit. And Raw General Manager Kurt Angle cracked the case on who attacked Enzo Amore and Big Cass. Because apparently it was Big Cass who attacked Enzo Amore. Yep, Big Cass's heel turn has arrived. The rumors were correct, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you should believe the rumors mostly. Not all the time, mostly. Because if I could put a percentage on it, 70% of the time they usually are right. You know, heel turns and everything and that. That's why I read most of this stuff from sources and websites and bring you some of the stuff that I see mostly from there as well, because most of it's true. Some of it isn't. Some of it's been completely bullshit. You know, I'm not going to deny that. Some of it is worth talking about, but it's at the end of the day, it's a case of you seeing it, and a good portion of the time you see it and you think, nah, I'll believe it when I see it. That's the way I am with most of it. But like I say, 70% of the time, or a good portion of the time, it's usually right. So, Smackdown. And the right was wrong, ladies and gentlemen, on this show today. You heard my Money in the Bank prediction in part 1. Thankfully, the wrong was righted. Miss Money in the Bank, Carmella and James Ellsworth came out and gloated, basically. Big E defeated Jimmy Uso after their epic match at Money in the Bank. Great tag match. The only downside to it was the Usos walking away the way they did. Randy Orton promised to hurt Jinder Mahal. Guess you could say a rematch from Backlash in the form of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler, and Nakamura is 2-0 on Dolph Ziggler. Kevin Owens is got to the point right now where he's got a new open challenge, kind of like what John Cena did with his open challenge when he was US champion. Kevin Owens is doing the same. He's called the new face of America, and he wanted that opportunity to go to somebody from Dayton, Ohio. But obviously AJ Styles misheard him and just came flying out. And then Chad Gable came out and stepped up and said he just moved to Dayton, Ohio. So it ended up being US champion Kevin Owens defending the championship against Chad Gable, and Chad Gable lost, unfortunately. Kevin Owens is still there. I have a dream match for that SummerSlam pay-per-view, or Battleground, whatever it's going to be. But I would imagine AJ Styles, Kevin Owens is going straight to SummerSlam, in my opinion. Daniel Bryan, issued the verdict on the Money in the Bank Women's Championship, on the Money in the Bank Women's title scene, I guess you could say. And this, ladies and gentlemen, there will be a rematch of that match next week on SmackDown, because Daniel Bryan stripped, and rightfully so, Carmella of that Money in the Bank briefcase and got in the face of James Ellsworth as well, because Ellsworth opened his big mouth and mentioned his daughter. So next week, the wrong has been righted. There will be a rematch, and if Carmella wants to be Miss Women's Money in the Bank or Miss Money in the Bank, she needs to earn it. Because this is why SmackDown is the better brand, ladies and gentlemen, because you earn stuff. You don't get things handed to you, and it's a 2-hour show. So yeah, Money in the Bank next week. Women's Money in the Bank next week on SmackDown. Hopefully it's the main event. It should be the main event. If it's not, it's a travesty. But it's the main event of the show. I would imagine it will be. Okay, I believe that. Who do I think is going to win? I have no idea. I would probably guess Charlotte, if I had to pick, if I'm being honest with you, because there is rumours that she's going to be taking over the SmackDown Women's division, you know, being the champion and, you know, controlling that division and taking it to a new direction, kind of. But I'd like to see Becky as champion. Not because I like her, and yes, I do like her. I'm not going to shame out now. I like to see her be champion. It'd be interesting to see if Tamina wins it and see how that goes. That'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. But, like I say, we'll find out next week. And Jinder Mahal beats Luke Harper in the main event and then gets his ass kicked, or his boys get his ass kicked, by Randy Orton. And like I said earlier on, there is a Punjabi prison match rumoured between Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton. The only difference is, ladies and gentlemen, is Jinder Mahal can wrestle. Great Khali never could. Okay? But he was a big man. There's no question about that. I remember one time the Great Khali was meant to face The Undertaker in the Punjabi prison match, and it ended up being the Big Show, who was then ECW champion. Anything could happen in a Punjabi prison match. And it'd be interesting to see how Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal, in fact, you know, use it to their advantage, and how they strategic the match. It'd be interesting to see how that happens, because like I say, you've got two guys who can work. I'm not saying that The Undertaker couldn't work, but let's face it, he wasn't in the ring with the best person he could be in there with, i.e. the great Khali. And even Batista's even been in there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. All in all, I'd say SmackDown was the better show this week, again. Despite it being low ratings, but like I said to someone during the week, SmackDown could have 1.9 ratings, 1.9 million views, and still be the better brand, in my opinion. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll be back right after this with a quick rundown of Ring of Honor. So, stay tuned.
If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Welcome back to this part, guys. It's time for a quick rundown of Ring of Honor. That's right. Hashtag ROH 300. It's their 300th episode, so congratulations to Ring of Honor for that as well. And it kicked off with sort of a tag team grudge match, quite frankly, because you got the Bay City Bruiser and Silas Young going against Jay Lethal and Bobby Fish. Now, this was awesome. Great tag match, back and forth stuff. The highlight of the was at the beginning of the match. Can't speak because what you've got to understand is, guys, is conditioning. Apologies for that. What you've got to understand is, guys, conditioning plays a part in professional wrestling, no matter what it is you are. And as you know, the Bruiser is very big and fat. He started off the match, and Jay Lethal spent a lot of time in the match early on making him run so he tires out, because he's not. The guy hasn't got a six-pack. He's got his belly out here somewhere, like a beast or whatever it is that you say. But he's fat. And they were trying to make him... I try to say this without sounding like an idiot and a dick. But they were trying to make him run out and make him show how weak he is in terms of conditioning. There you go. With his shape that he was in. Because he's not in the best shape ever. And Lethal and Fish took advantage of that. And it was fucking hilarious. Just seeing him running back and forth off the ropes and everything. And it even got to the point where Silas Young handed him a beer, trying to get his energy back, as if beer does that. Drunk his beer, and he tries it again, and then he runs, he feels something, and he runs to the corner and pukes. He pukes the beer out that he just drank. I don't know if he puked anything else out of it, because they went to a commercial break. But Jesus Christ. All in all, when it came back, wrestling did occur, and it was a wild tag team match, back and forth stuff. Like I say, it's a grudge match, because you got Jay Lethal and Bobby Fish who can't stand Silas Young and want a piece of Silas Young, and Bruce is just stuck in the middle of it, quite frankly. But the wild match ended with Young hitting his finishing move, which is the TKO, which he calls Misery, and beats Jay Lethal. He actually beat Jay Lethal. It pinned him clean, 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. He owes a singles victory and a tag victory over him now, going into their match at Best of the World. Good stuff. I mean, Silas Young is awesome. I'm sorry, but he is. Great wrestler, and don't be surprised if you see him in WWE in 1 or maybe 2 years, or maybe early time, man, because he's really good. The boys were meant to go up against the Kingdom, and the Kingdom attacked them from the start. Dalton Castle came out, was not too happy about it, but the match did get underway. Boys showed that they could fly, because they did a dive onto the Kingdom and everything, but the Kingdom, too strong, too much experience. They get the victory, and that's not good for the boys, especially Dalton Castle, since they've got a 6-man tag team title match at Best in the World against Bully Ray and the Briscoes. So, yeah. Punishment Martinez just beats up Diesel and Cheeseburger. Diesel showed some good fight and everything, and then Cheeseburger came out, tried to get his piece, and then Jay White comes out and tries to get a piece of him too, and both of them go back and forth. There is a big feud building between them two, trust me on that. And then what was the main event? It was Chaos, Guido, Gota, and Ospreay against Tanahashi and The Addiction, with Cody Rhodes at ringside. And Tanahashi and Addiction win an epic main event, and it was epic. And then Daniels gets in the face of Cody Rhodes. They wanted to fight. He wants to fight Cody Rhodes and everything like that. Hangman Page comes out, attacks Kazarian, and then Page and Cody double team, or at least Cody attacked Christopher Daniels, in all build up to their match at Best in the World for the Ring of Honor World Championship. All in all, fabulous show from Ring of Honor. And that was a quick rundown of Ring of Honor, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll be back right after this with Impact Wrestling and ICW, so stay tuned. To support the Wrestling Matters podcast, tune in each and every week on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Radio Big World for the best of professional wrestling. Raw, Smackdown, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and anything else, any other relevant promotion out there that is wrestling. Professional wrestling. This is a professional wrestling podcast hosted by a professional wrestling wrestling fan who is passionate about the business, despite what people say. For more information on that, like I said, go to youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters, SoundCloud, Radio Big World, and for more, to support the podcast as well, facebook.com/WM Podcast, at WM Podcast on Twitter. And remember, guys, wrestling fucking matters. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 6 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. And this is in 2 parts-ish, because we're going to do Impact Wrestling and we're going to do ICW. We're going to start with Impact Wrestling, though. It was okay. I saw the show. It was okay. Another Sony 6 match. Like they had the Battle Royal last week. They had an X Division match this week, which Matt Sydal won. He fed off Sutter, Davey Richards, Trevor Lee, Suicide, and Eddie Edwards to win the match. It was great action, but mainly it was built around the feud between Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, because both men ended up using weapons, building into their Full Metal Mayhem match at Slammiversary, and both men got disqualified, quite frankly. But Sydal beats Trevor Lee and ends up winning the match. I will just mention it, the Spud Hornswoggle promo, where they're about to fight in the streets of Mumbai, and some guy breaks it up. It was about the size of Hornswoggle. Ali took on Vanessa and Sienna, and she thought she was going to be without Rosemary because Rosemary was not in the building, but Rosemary popped out from underneath the ring and attacked Sienna and Vanessa. But Sienna manages to get the victory for the team. It was a great match, great women's match, but it's all building into Slammiversary because it's going to be Sienna and Rosemary to unify the GFW and Knockout tag titles. I almost said tag team titles there, but it's not. It's the women's titles, respectively. So, yeah, it should be good. There was a video package shown from LAX just basically whipping everybody's ass and owning things as they've done. Low-Key comes out and spoils Sanjay Dutt's little party that he was having because Sanjay last week won the X Division Championship. Low-Key came out, showed respect, shook hands, and then cheap shot at Sanjay and also beat up Mahalabi Shera as well. And at Slammiversary for the X Division Championship, there's going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match, which should be epic, and to be honest with you, don't be surprised if that steals the show. Sydal manages to save Shera and Sanjay as well. Shera's beaten up from the match and he's supposed to come out and face KM, and does, but he's got injuries from the match, but still manages to beat KM as well, despite the attack from Low-Key. But Kongo Khan and KM make it worse after the match. Drake and Chris Adonis beat down Moose, all because Moose picked his partner for Slammiversary to face them two in a tag match, and it ended up being D'Angelo Williams, who was an NFL player as well. Also, EC3, Bobby Lashley took on El Patron and Storm. It was a great tag match, kind of spoiled by the ending because EC3 strapped the referee and got a disqualification, all leading into their match, or his match with James Storm at the pay-per-view in a strap match. Whatever. But yeah, that was Impact Wrestling. Right guys, you hear the music, you know what time it is. It's time for ICW, Friday Night Fight Club. But before I do that, guys, before I get into Friday Night Fight Club, a bit of breaking news came in just this past week, and as I'm doing this right now as well, from Friday. That's right, Friday. It was announced on his Instagram that Mauro Ranallo is coming back to WWE, but he's not coming back to Raw, he ain't coming back to Smackdown, he's coming back to NXT. That's right, maybe he is now the replacement for Todd Phillips, because Todd Phillips is now on Smackdown, as you know, so they're going to need somebody to replace him, I'm guessing. The perfect guy to do it, Mauro Ranallo. Kudos to WWE for allowing him to come back, and not only kudos to WWE, kudos to Triple H as well for bringing him in. So it's going to be interesting, and in my opinion, he's a perfect fit. He really is a perfect fit for anything, quite frankly, because he is probably not better, but somewhere up there on a JR level, in my view, and he's great. So yeah, should be good to see. So look out for Mauro Ranallo coming to NXT very, very soon. When? I don't know. I wonder if he's still hanging out with Bellator and that, because I announced this last week on the podcast that he was going to Bellator as well, along with Mike Goldberg. I wonder if he's still doing that. Maybe he's dropped that because of this. I don't know. Anyway, ICW Fight Club. Let's get to the main topic of this part. It kicked off with the Hunter Brothers, great tag team, against Polo Promotions. Great match to kick it off and everything, but it turned into them, Polo Promotions and Hunter Brothers, teaming up against the tag team champions, because they have Polo Promotions have a 6-man tag match coming up at Shug's house party at the end of the month, or the end of next month even, and we don't know who their partner's going to be. It's basically, at the moment right now, it's a 3-on-2. We have no idea who their partner's going to be, so I guess we'll find out. But then the match got back on, and Polos ended up winning it with their finishing move. Hey, they're the best tag team, or at least one of the best tag teams in ICW at the moment. Will they get their tag team titles back? Who knows? Joe Henry that is, went 1-on-1 with Grado. The fight went all the way around the ring, but to kick it off, Henry did another one of his fantastic entrance videos that he does when he mocks his opponent, and he did it to Grado, called it Grado's Eating My Lunch, which was used in a sample from Shania Twain's That Don't Impress Me Much. Figure that out. I believe that's on the ICW YouTube channel as well, so be sure to check that out. Oh boy. But as the match was going on, and it was a good match between the two, a heel Grado, as the match went on, Lionheart's video popped up and it distracted Joe Henry. Joe Henry got kicked between the legs. Grado rose him up. 1, 2, 3. Actually, he hit the stroke first and then pinned him as well, so yeah. Oh boy. And then Lionheart comes in and hits rock bottom on Joe Henry. And after that, Grado and Red gloat, and they have a message for Noam Dar as well. Yawn. Anything that Red Lightning does, to be honest with you, is yawn. I really do not like that guy. But anyway, Davey Blaze and Wee Man came out to mock DCT, and all hell broke loose basically. And then Bram came out. Bram returned to ICW. I like the fact they promoted this match, DCT 1-on-1 with Bram. They promoted the match and everything, and I think this was done. I think this was meant to be an impromptu match on the show. It must have been on the actual full show itself, an impromptu match. But on ICW Fight Club, they said, oh, you know what, we'll promote that and we'll put that on the show, kind of thing. So this must have turned into an impromptu match at the actual show itself that was recorded. But when it came to the Friday Night Fight Club thing, they must have said, here, there you go, we'll promote the match instead, kind of thing, which was kind of weird, but anyway. And Bram came back and fought DCT one more time and basically destroyed him. I don't think he ever got over that cage win that DCT got in Shug's house party last year, I believe it was. I don't think he ever got over that. And Bram just came in and kicked ass, basically. And Viper wanted to come down and throw the towel in, but Coach did not let him do it. And then Viper forced Coach to do it, and it wasn't. Bram definitely got his revenge that night. You can't deny that. Otherwise, if Coach hadn't of thrown the towel in, DCT was not going to quit. And if Coach hadn't threw the towel in, I think Bram would have literally killed him that time as well, in my view. But then as they were going back, DCT, Coach and Viper, they got attacked by Wee Man and Davey Blaze again. And a kiss my ass match between Davey Blaze, Wee Man versus DCT and Coach was made, where the loser of the match will have to kiss the team's ass, kind of thing. You know, to kiss my ass match. You know what a kiss my ass message. You're not dumb, guys. Now, Stevie Boy went 1-on-1 with Shah Samuels, and what was a good match. Nothing new, nothing really decent, but the ending was a Stevie Boy having Shah up in the reverse electric chair position, and then for some strange reason, Shah Samuels went, okay, you know what I'll do reverse Rana, and then hits the destroyer on Stevie Boy, that is, and gets the win. So Shah doing it big, man. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's getting into him. He's never used to doing that before, you know, never used to doing reverse Ranas and that before. He's always been the one coming in and just beating people up, but hey, fair play to you, man. And it was an awesome match between the ICW champion and Jordan Devlin. Jordan took him to the limit and that, but discus clothesline retains, and then they shake hands and then hug each other, and then Joe just discus clotheslines him, and that was it, really. Basically, Joe Coffey comes out on top as the ICW champion. You always knew he was going to predict that. Jordan Devlin's not ready to be the ICW champion yet. I don't know who's going to be ready to take that belt from Joe Coffey, but it'll be interesting to find out, let me tell you. Right about wraps it up for this part, guys. I'll be back right after this quick timeout with New Japan, so stay tuned. Are you sick of people telling you what to do or telling you what wrestling to watch? Do you like wrestling as passionate as I do? Are you a passionate wrestling fan? Well, tune in to the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday on SoundCloud, YouTube.com, and Radio Big World for the best in professional wrestling. I talk Raw, I talk Smackdown, I talk ICW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and anything else that is worth watching and worth talking about in the world of professional wrestling, including WCPW as well. So, for the best in professional wrestling, tune in to AJW Wrestling Matters on YouTube, Wrestling_Matters_podcast on SoundCloud, SoundCloud. And Radio Big World, look them up on SoundCloud too for the best in professional wrestling. You know why? Because wrestling matters. Right, welcome back to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast, guys. The final episode of this podcast, or the final part of this podcast, I should say, is on youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast, and also Radio Big World 2. So yeah, be sure to check all them out as well. Download them for free. I'm currently redoing some things on SoundCloud as well, so bear with me on that. But all the episodes are up on there, so be sure to check them out as well. Also guys, be sure to check out TSC Wrestling Mag on Twitter for more information. Get your monthly subscription from there as well. Be sure to check them out. They're a wrestling magazine based in India. For more information, check them out on Twitter as well at TSC Wrestling Mag. Now guys, I wanted to get all that out the way. Shout out as well, don't forget to check out Rick Dara Talk Brunch every Monday. If you want more information on Talk Brunch as well, at Talk Brunch on Twitter, facebook.com/Talk Brunch as well, facebook.com/Back to the Island, facebook.com/Wrestle Island as well, at Wrestle Island on Twitter too. Right, I've got all that out the way because I want to get into it now. I am going to review a show that, in my opinion, is one of the reasons why I talk professional wrestling, not just entertainment. And I get my balls busted about this all the time, guys. Really, really do. Oh, it's entertainment and this, and this. You know, WWE is this, and this. See, I just don't watch wrestling, the WWE wrestling. I love WWE, don't get me wrong. But I also watch professional wrestling. That means wrestling outside of WWE, okay? And if you don't like that, don't listen to this podcast. It's as simple as that, guys. It's as simple as that. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Don't listen to this podcast. New Japan Domain. Oh my God. I have never seen a wrestling show in my life as crazy as this one was. The pre-show was a 6-man tag involving Yagi Kawato and Kitamura, I hope I said that right, take on Umino, wow, Oka, and a certain person by the name of David Finlay. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I recognise that name. Yeah, it's Fit Finlay's son as well. The only highlight in this match, it was like a pre-show match, like any other normal pre-show match would be, but the only highlight in this match, there was some great wrestling. Finlay wins with a stunner. Yes, can you believe that? It was a great 6-man tag, back and forth, not really that much, just something to warm the crowd up, I guess you could say. And the highlight of the match, there was a 2 count on a chop. Somebody hits a chop and gets a 2 count. That's very rare in this business, trust me, in the wrestling business. It's very rare you get a 2 count off there. Right, but yeah, David Finlay's team won the match, won the 6-man tag. And Mr. Finlay has got a bright future ahead of him, no question about that, because very similar to his father in some ways. 8-man tag kicked off the main show, which saw Makeba Nagata. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, like I said, guys, I don't watch that much New Japan Pro Wrestling, so forgive me on the pronunciations, please. Forgive me on the pronunciations. I'll try that again, though. Nagata and the 2 Tiger Masks take on Nakanishi, Kojima, Jushin Liger, and a guy who I'm very familiar with, Hiroshi Tenzan. And for those of you that don't know who Hiroshi Tenzan is, look up WCW, look up the New World Order, because he was in that group as well. WCW's New World Order, that's right. Representing the Japan side of it, of course. It was a good match, good 8-man tag, very fast-paced, very strong style as well, very hard-hitting as well. Kojima with the rapid chops was the highlight for me, getting him in the corner and just doing the Japan-style rapid chops. You know, if you think one chop is enough, or is bad enough, holy shit, take about rapid chops. Take the rapid chops, take them all coming at you. No, it sucks, trust me. The 2 tagger match showed some great teamwork as well, great offense in there. But Makebe, I hope I said that right. I can't pronounce their names. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm so shit at pronunciation. Like I said, I don't watch New Japan that much. But Makebe wins with a knee drop, which is very rare. Like I said, very rare. But it's a different kind of feel to the stuff that I usually would watch as well. And I'm not an expert in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'd like to be, but I'm not an expert in New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is the very first show that I'm reviewing. But Team Tiger Mask ended up winning the match thanks to that knee drop win. But it was a good match. 8-man tag, chaos, action. Lots of action. It was good stuff. Open weight 6-man tag team championship gauntlet, which saw the Bullet Club involved against Chaos to start off. Bad Luck Fale was just a beast. He's a tank, that dude. But Bullet Club unfortunately get pinned and are out by Chaos, that is. The Guns come down. Sasuke Gun comes down, a group, ladies and gentlemen, a group, okay, that features Zack Sabre Jr. Yes, he is a member of that group. He comes out and Sabre just makes quick work of Chaos. Absolutely quick work of him. He just basically schools him in wrestling. He just basically just stretches him and puts him in a submission and then turns it into a cover kind of move. And kind of like what you would see if you saw the figure 8 move and everything. He just schools him and just kicks it out. Beautifully done. And then Team Ricochet came out as well. There was a soccer kick to the tailbone area, which I'm not going to lie, sucks. That was by Zack Sabre Jr. Juice Robinson showed some good fight as well. A miscue that saw Robinson hit Pulp Fiction, his finishing move, and the Guns get eliminated. But Zack Sabre Jr. was a little angry with it, and he attacks Juice Robinson, and it made it easy for the champions to come out, which were Zanardi, Evil, and Bushi, which is Los Denables Apon, whatever they're called. That group. I just go on by that because that's a mouthful, that group name. It's Sanada, Evil, and Bushi come out. They are the reigning champions, and they make quick work of the pieces that Zack Sabre Jr. left for them, quite frankly. And the champions, like I say, retain. In what was an absolute epic IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. Super kick to Romero to start off with. The Young Bucks just proving why they were a great tag team. Both teams proving why they are the #1 tag team. Majority of the match, Romero spent outside of the ring, taken from that super kick. They had that spot or the angle in the match where he got the super kick from one of the Young Bucks, and he got laid out on the outside, and it was basically a 2-on-1 handicap match, and the Young Bucks took control for most of the match. Yes, Romero got back in. He got back in as well. The more times he tried to get back in, one time Nick powerbombed him on the rampway, which was just phenomenal. Beretta wouldn't quit, though, and Roppongi Vice manages to get their finishing move on the Young Bucks, but I believe it was Nick Jackson did a swanton bomb that broke up the actual pin predicament, which was just insane. And Romero finally gets tagged in. He has some guts on him, I tell you, that kid. I tell you, he really has some guts. Indie Taker to Romero by the Young Bucks, though, and the Young Bucks were so dominant in this match, it's not even funny. And they really put a whooping on this guy, and they made him tap. They did the Indie Taker, which is the springboard flip, like spike tombstone kind of move they do. They did that, and then I believe it was Nick or Matt was one of them, put him in the sharpshooter, and Romero had no choice but to tap out. It was just insane. But the Young Bucks proving why they're not only the best tag team in the world, in my opinion, they are the smartest as well. Bullet Club, Tama Tonga, and Raw took on War Machine. Bullet Club took every chance they could get in this match. This was the story of the match. They took every chance they could get in this match to take control of it. You know, anytime they seized that opportunity, very opportunistic, anytime they could see that moment to pick the spot and take control of the match, they would take it as well. There was a lot of suplex going along between both teams. It was just phenomenal. Both teams taking suplexes, having no effect whatsoever. Great action by both teams. Both just showing great teamwork and showing where they are the top team in New Japan in terms of the heavyweight division. Decapitation came close for War Machine to win. It was like a springboard, and then he just shuts him right into his partner, and then he jumps off and does like if he was going to do like the disaster kick, but instead he does a clothesline. Almost got War Machine the win. Tonga and Roy did not go quietly. They wouldn't go quietly, and Roy hits Roy with the chair after Roy decided not to use the chair. Roy hits Roy with the chair, and the Guerrillas of Warfare, and they become the new IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, which just was phenomenal. My favorite match, personally, of the night, saw my man Cody Rhodes go one-on-one with Michael Elgin in a match that was mainly dominated by Michael Elgin. Quite frankly, it was mainly dominated by Michael Elgin. Unbelievable, but Cody showed fight, showed willing, showed determination, and showed why he is one of the best wrestlers in the world today, and he's a far better wrestler than he was in WWE. He seems to have reinvented himself, and Michael Elgin definitely had the power advantage, but it only takes a 3 count. It was a back and forth match, no question about it, dominated mostly by Michael Elgin, and Cody is on fire because he wins it with Crossroads as well, and he wins the match. Some say maybe it was an upset. I disagree. Yes, Michael Elgin was Intercontinental Champion over there at one point, but I disagree. I disagree with it. I mean, Cody's just on fire in my opinion, and could do no wrong. Takahashi versus Kushida, the newly crowned Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Kushida dropkick. I have never seen anybody do a dropkick in this match. This was a fast-paced match, fast-paced cruiserweight match, very technical match as well, because I believe it was Takahashi had his arm problems. He was dominating the match, and then he had his arm problems because Kushida worked the match on the arm. he really worked that match, and it paid off for him because he had a tap-out win and got the victory. Very, very smart match by Kushida by working on the arm, because he really, really worked on the arm to the point where when he made that tap-out, or he attempted to go for that tap-out, it wasn't a go. It wasn't a go, basically. But my favourite part of the match was the Kushida dropkick Takahashi right through the guardrails. They had him sit in the front row, in the seat, in front of the fans, on the where the guardrails is. Kushida did basically a Sabu. Went to springboard, dropkick, went to springboard off the chair and everything. And he did a dropkick and he just went right through Takahashi, right through the friggin' guardrails, man. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff. And like I say, Kushida wrestled a smart match. It was only about a 15-minute, 10-minute match. And Kushida definitely wrestled a smart match and won with a tap-out. I think Takahashi should be lucky that he didn't have his arm broke. Now, in what was a match for the ages, in an open-weight title deathmatch lumberjack rules, Hiroki Goto took on Minoru Suzuki. Now, both men fought in the crowd. Chono even had to hold Liger back because Liger got a chair thrown at him, I believe, by Suzuki, and then Liger threw one back at him. I think there's something going to be building between them two down the road. I don't know. Lots of interference. All the lumberjacks got involved and everything. But this wasn't a wrestling match, guys. This was a fight. There was plenty of fights on the outside, like I was saying. Crazy match. It was just a brutal, brutal fight. It really was. Absolutely brutal. Both men really hitting each other. Stiff forearms, stiff shots at each other and everything. It was just a crazy, crazy, crazy lumberjack match. Craziest lumberjack match I have ever seen. And it was deathmatch rules. So like I said, there was no disqualifications. Not that there is any disqualifications in the lumberjack match anyway. And it was kind of spoilt in a way by Tai Chi's interference, hitting Goto with the chair, and Goto having the match won, and then Tai Chi pulls the referee out. Tai Chi comes in, hits Goto with a chair, basically does the work for Suzuki, and then Suzuki hits the cradle power driver, and then Chaos Chase guns away. Well, Yoshihashi did, because Yoshihashi was pissed after that match. He wouldn't stop going after matches after that. Apologies for my phone in the background there. I've only just revamped it. But yeah, he was pissed, Yoshihashi, after that match, man. Really angry. He kept on going after them after the thing, and it took his boys, his group to hold him back and everything. But there's going to be that feud's not over by a long shot, guys. Absolute amazing. Intercontinental Championship match. Naito took on Tanahashi, the legend that is Tanahashi. Tanahashi just went after him after the go. This is personal it seems personal between these two as well. Tanahashi being the legend as well. Now, I like to take Naito as the Japanese version of Dolph Ziggler, because he likes to show off a lot. He really does. This is Tanahashi. It's a great match. The story of this match, though, was Naito really, really, and I mean really, torturing the arm, working on the arm of Tanahashi to the point where it was very hard for Tanahashi to do any work on the arm. There was occasions where Tanahashi nearly stole the win. Tanahashi really being dumped on his head. Jesus Christ. I mean, you thought Samoa Joe was bad or anybody else like that? Suplex City and everything. Holy shit. Good grief. Two sling blades, which is the move from that Finn Balor uses. Frog splash, but Naito kicks out in what was an epic match, guys. Back and forth stuff, start to finish. Lots of storytelling in this match as well from Naito, with working on the arm as well. That was a great strategy. Didn't pay off, unfortunately. And then, in what was probably craziest ending to a match I've ever seen, Tanahashi puts a deep cloverleaf on Naito and really, and I mean really deep, really sits on him to the point where it looks like he's going to kill him. He's like, you're going to tap out, motherfucker. Otherwise, I'm not letting go until you tap out, kind of thing. And it was get to the point where his whole body was stretched and everything. It was really, really amazing. Really, really awesome match. Back and forth stuff. Just a simple, good wrestling match mixed in with a fight, if you could say that. And Naito and Tanahashi, just unbelievable Intercontinental Championship match for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And Tanahashi is now your new Intercontinental Champion of the IWGP in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, we get to the main event. A war, guys. Just when you think they couldn't top what happened at Wrestle Kingdom, holy moly, did they ever. Okada Omega 2. 2. High risk offense to start off with. It was very slow start, but there was lots of high risks and even stuff. I think they were just pacing themselves to start off this match with. It was very slow, and it definitely picked up in parts, but it was very slow. Knee drop on the table on the outside from Omega. One of them knee drop things where you get like an atomic knee drop kind of thing. Well, Omega put Okada right on the table. Omega was definitely in control early on. Omega gets pushed into the guardrail and hits hard, and then a big match dive from Okada as well. Just great stuff early on. Like I say, they were just, I think at this point they were just blending into the match, quite frankly. Beautiful, oh my god. Springboard moonsault, top rope moonsault on the outside from Omega. If you go back and watch the match, just watch that. You can watch it from both sides. It was just oh my god, it was just a vision of beauty. It really was. A nasty top rope dropkick by Omega. You could see it, and the way it connected, it kicked him in the back of the head, and the way it connected did not look good as well. And all this was before the 26-minute mark as well. Omega definitely coming close in the matches as well. Very hard hitting. Omega takes a DVD, you heard me correct, a DVD, Death Valley Driver on the apron. It's bad enough taking a DDT, but I've told you this before, guys, and I know because I've wrestled. That is the hardest part of the ring. The apron is the hardest part of the ring. You could take any move on there, and it's not going to feel as good as if it was inside the ring. If you take any move on that apron, end of discussion, full stop, it's going to suck. Simple as that. It's simple as that. Okada shotgun drop kick, and boy oh boy did Omega hit hard. Hit the guardrails hard and everything. Jesus Christ. Both men looking to put each other through the table. There was a table that Okada set up on the outside as well. Both men were looking to beat each other up in this match. Okada hits a top rope suplex. He kind of cradled it as well. It was like a fisherman. I think you could say it was like a fisherman suplex off the top rope as well, and it just was amazing. Great counters in this match. Omega on 2 occasions gets dumped on his head. 2 German. A Rainmaker only gets a 2 count in what was an unreal match. Omega wouldn't quit. Okada wouldn't quit as well. Okada dives on Omega and drives him through the table, but the table didn't go through. It cracked, which is 10 times worse than it going through, trust me. Because you think it's going to go through and everything, but it just, you know, depending on how positioned you are on the table, if it just cracks under you, it's going to suck even more. To be honest with you guys, this was more a, you know, this was a match. There's no question about that. It was a wrestling match, but this was more of an Iron Man match. I think New Japan Pro Wrestling could have just booked an IWGP 60-minute Iron Man match between the two, because this was like the test of the will, the test of endurance, because wrestling 60 minutes is no joke, let me tell you. And it brought back some of the old school stuff as well, you know, the old school stuff with Rose and Ric Flair and everything. Just fun to watch, it really was. And what was in a permanent confusing spot in the match, Cody Rhodes came down looking to throw the towel in, and the box stopped him from doing it. I think Cody was worried about how things were going with Omega, and whether he was going to get out alive, quite frankly, and I think he wanted to try and do the right thing, but the box stopped him, and even Don Callis at ringside was pissed at him doing that. But Omega showing heart, reverse Rana, back in the ring, Shining Wizard on Okada. Awesome counter by Omega, stops him, it hits his finisher. Okada got a foot on the ropes, that close to winning it. Omega, that close to winning it. And he got his, like I say, he got his foot on the ropes and everything, which was just insane. Both men giving it 1,000%. Omega showboats, but then gets hit by the Rainmaker. A nasty Shining Wizard to the jaw. Brutal dropkick by Okada, only gets a 2. And this was at the 2-minute mark. They were really exhausted at this point. Really exhausted at this point. And they were looking just to try and get that quick win and get that quick ending, if you will. Snap Tiger Driver, Snap Tiger Suplex even. Can't even speak now. Dropkick, Rainmaker. Amazing, but Okada couldn't get over to make the count. The time ran out, and the match ends in a 60-minute draw. And like I said on Facebook and Twitter, everybody can bash me for liking wrestling the way I do and everything like that, professional wrestling. This match, this show, New Japan Pro Wrestling Domain, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It made me proud to be a professional wrestling fan. I am a passionate wrestling fan. I am a serious wrestling fan. I like the entertainment as well. Don't get me wrong. I like all types of wrestling in stories and everything like that. And this was just incredible. If you haven't watched New Japan Pro Wrestling, you're not a wrestling fan. You just think you are, but you're not. This is why I watch all sorts of wrestling, whether it's New Japan, Ring of Honor, ICW and stuff like that, because it gives good shit. But I'll tell you this right now, none of the American promotions or England promotions can live up to a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. It's just brutal personified, strong style, Wrestling crazy. It really is. And if it's anything like what's going to take place in July in America, the American fans are in for a treat. That's all I'm saying. Cody then confronted Okada backstage at the press conference and spat beer in his face, which I'm guessing he said see you in LA, so I'm guessing it's going to be Okada Rose in LA as well at the G1 special. So we'll have to wait and see. All in all, guys, that about wraps it up for this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing whatever it is you do to listen to this podcast as well. It has been an absolute pleasure. Hope you guys enjoyed the New Japan Pro Wrestling. Hope you guys enjoyed the New Japan Pro Wrestling review. Like I say, guys, this is my very first New Japan Pro Wrestling review here on this podcast. Hopefully it won't be the last. So until next time, guys, episode 170. My name is Anthony Walker. Bidding you a farewell. Peace out.